I've been told by many people that I work too hard and it's borderline obsessive. I'm content working many hours without breaks, and I only eat breakfast and dinner because I think lunch gets in the way of work. This level of discipline is probably a terrible idea for you. Discipline is the ability to work consistently and sustainably over long periods of time while withstanding delayed gratification, or not seeing the reward for your effort for a very long time. So the real question is, how do you maintain discipline? Not how you become disciplined, because theoretically anybody can work and work and work for long periods of time without seeing their results. But that delayed gratification is so daunting that many don't. Our goals, personalities, and tolerances are all different, so you must think about how you approach discipline. And that is what this video is for. My name is Rowan. I'm an undergraduate at the University of Michigan, intending to study interdisciplinary physics. I am working to build an interstellar space travel company, and this channel is dedicated to documenting that process and sharing what I'm learning along the way. One of those things is maintaining discipline. I've got it down to 3 points that you can apply to yourself. 1, introspect and act. 2, get comfortable in discomfort and in the boring. And 3, generating internal energy that isn't motivation. Introspection seems to be uncommon. We surround ourselves with distractions, whether it's our phones or other people. Introspection requires us to be alone with ourselves, and often we don't enjoy our own company. But this is where it starts, where you learn what you want and what you're willing to do to get there. I'll begin with an example. Around 8th grade, I developed a terrible habit. When I started eating, I did not stop. My stomach would physically hurt, and I would keep going, internally spiraling. I acknowledged how much it hurt, that it was unhealthy, and that it was worsening my dangerously low self-esteem. All I could think about in those moments is how much I didn't want to be me, and this continued to be an issue until around sophomore year. At the same time, all of my friends moved away due to tragic circumstances. Mind you, I graduated a class of 17, so trying to find new friends was very difficult. And of course, I eventually did find new friends, but we weren't that close yet, so most of my time was still spent alone. At first, it was too much time. I didn't handle it well, and I would never encourage you or anyone else to think of yourself as a list of have-nots, but there was a little bit of value in this because of the actions I took afterward. I decided that I couldn't live like that, so I started making small changes. First, because my insecurities were image-based at the time, I began exercise. Then I started to weigh my food. I decided I was the kind of person who would exercise and weigh their food consistently for the rest of their life. I am willing to be the only one not eating in social situations, the only one carrying a food scale to the dining hall, the only one waking up early to go to the gym. I was willing to do all that because it's what my goal required, and the pain of not achieving that goal was far worse than the pain of the sacrifice I'd be making. While I wasn't in the healthiest mindset, I chose action over dwelling, and that is how you should use introspection. Use introspection to think about your personal beliefs, your values, your philosophies, what you want, and most importantly, what you are willing to sacrifice to get that. After that, make those actions a part of your identity. You are the person who wakes up early, or you are the person who works from 2 to 4 p.m., no negotiation. But at the same time, you cannot be violent with yourself. You must view these unpleasantries as something that can be fixed over a period of time with sustained, consistent effort, or in other words, discipline. A small piece of advice I can give to support this is remove your phone as a distraction. Use it as a tool, never as entertainment. For example, before I decided to have an online presence, I only had YouTube and Pinterest, both of which were used for either education or inspiration. This may help with other goals you have that require discipline, like lowering your screen time or strengthening your attention span. Overall, introspection will help you figure out what you want and what you're willing to do to get there. After that, you must act. You cannot get what you want without acting. This is not a practice without thought or focus. It is also a practice that requires you to be comfortable doing boring, repeatable tasks and leaping out of your comfort zone all at the same time. Sometimes you will sit in front of the computer and do the same tasks every single day. You might find yourself lagging in your goals because it is simply just that boring. You can see this in my vlogs, where most of the time I am sitting at my computer just working. And there have been times where I was struggling to study because it was so boring. But still, I pushed through it because I acknowledged that boredom is just another trade-off for avoiding mediocrity. Some advice to make the boredom more bearable is listen to music that inspires you, or pretend you're at the center of a documentary and people are watching you become the person you want to be. Other times, and more rarely, particularly for larger long-term goals, you might need to leap out of your comfort zone. My best example is once again the vlog. I am a reserved and introverted person by nature, so putting myself out there online was the last thing I thought I would be doing. It made me nervous, and I kept it a secret for a month. I still remember putting together my Instagram announcement posts, worried about what other people might think. But in that was another lesson. When I posted it, I'm pretty sure most people just liked it and scrolled away. Nobody said anything weeks after the post, and it was all good things. This is to say, whatever you think might happen probably won't. Don't ease into it either. Of course, this is to your own discretion, but I think easing into it is just another way of saying you're procrastinating. Confidence comes from competence, or seeing that you can do the thing. This is an idea that I got from Layla Hermosi. And once again, through all of these points, you must realize you are the only one working toward your goal. Part of discipline is realizing that motivation is fickle and an unreliable fuel, and you need to create your own source of internal energy. You cannot rely on something that ebbs and flows. But before I go any further, do not confuse a lack of motivation for actual fatigue. If you are genuinely burnt out, you need to know what that looks like for you, and you need to rest. Rest is productive because it allows you to keep moving forward later, while if you kept pushing yourself past burnout, it would take you longer to get back to baseline than if you just recovered in the first place. Personally, what it feels like for me is I get this heavy feeling in my chest, and I feel like mentally I've just been running and I'm almost out of breath. But if it is truly a distraction or just your discipline in its infancy, it might help to have a mantra or just ask yourself why you're doing what you're doing. Personally, I ask myself one of two questions. The first one is, how bad do you really want it? And two, do you love life? The first one is just fueled by spite and rage, but the second one is a lot more philosophical, and it always brings me back to my reason why, which is motivation enough. Many athletes have a word or mantra that flips the switch and allows them to perform at their highest level when they need it. And one more suggestion, just stop complaining. This is a pet peeve of mine, but what your thoughts focus on is how you perceive the world. So pointing out every single bad thing and exaggerating it makes it harder to sustainably pursue your goal. Price your thoughts out at $500 an hour and don't waste time on things that get you nowhere. And as an aside, if you are complaining about something that you can change but you are not changing it, then you are choosing it. And complaining looks different from venting. Complaining is endless, it's malicious, and you are doing nothing to change the thing. Please find something better to do. The world is beautiful and you're just missing out on it. But overall, discipline is single-handedly one of the most important pieces that you can add to your identity. Discipline is leverageable across all aspects of life, and even in smaller, less hustle culture ways, it is how you attain greatness, whatever that means to you. And by the way, I want to start making more of these kinds of videos that add value to you, so if this helps you in any way, please like, and leave a comment if there's anything else you want me to talk about. To build systems into your discipline, such as time management, consider following, because I'll be sharing more of what I've learned along the way, which you can see in real time on my vlog. And with that, go do something disciplined.